Anderson Cooper throws childish tantrum over criticism of Greta Thunberg being a coronavirus town hall guest. Now, I'm not typically one to go that far and say it was a childish tantrum, but let me give you the backstory real quick, and then I'm going to have to say, yeah, I would call it childish. You see, they were going to do on CNN this panel about the coronavirus, and they put out this promo image of Greta Thunberg. I actually did a short segment about it. And the internet erupted with criticism. People saying, to what capacity is Greta Thunberg qualified to be talking about the coronavirus at all, period, in any capacity, no matter what the angle is you're taking? I'm sorry. A 17-year-old kid who skipped school to complain about the environment is not qualified to speak about anything other than her protest. Okay, anyway, Anderson Cooper got all bent out of shape, and he called it the phony outrage machine, blah, blah, blah. The reason, normally I would just say that, they pushed back or something. But CNN has been devolving into overt performative trash. Why is Anderson Cooper engaging in the outrage game? It's for ratings. It's for money. It's so that I do this video. You see the game they're playing? So you could call it a childish tantrum, or you could just call it performative reaction. The internet was outraged. They complained about Greta. So Anderson Cooper and the producer at CNN were like, ooh, do a segment about this. Let's play the game too. So you know what? Hey, we're all guilty, man. The issue I take with CNN putting up Greta Thunberg, why I would feel justified in criticizing that, is they use her. She has no experience, no expertise. She doesn't even fully understand climate change, which is her core issue. But that's okay. She's just a 17-year-old high school kid who stopped going to school in strike. That became a big movement. They had her speak about why she was doing it, but she really doesn't understand. And I'm not going to pretend like I do for the most part. She is not a climate scientist. She's just a kid. What she did resonated with people who cared about the issue. Should she be speaking on panels now? No. The only qualification she had was her activism, not climate science, and especially not coronavirus. So to the people who want to call out CNN for using this, I think it's just. I'm calling out CNN for using her for ratings. That's it. Oh, I know. We'll get Greta Thunberg to talk. She has no idea what she's talking about, but we'll get her to talk. And of course, in response, you can expect CNN to do exactly what CNN does, play the performative fake rage game. Let's read the story, and I'll show you something else too. I find really, really funny. I have this article from CNN that talks about, Anthony Fauci and Rand Paul. And there's a meme going around right now that claims CNN was saying that, Rand Paul wasn't qualified to be speaking about, COVID or coronavirus. And for the most part, I haven't really seen a lot of that, but this article does, it does kind of do that. What I find interesting is the way CNN, or at least this one analysis, is willing to frame the argument. And there's many different op-eds about Rand and Fauci that are very similar. And so while I think a lot of people are trying to hype up this Rand Paul being qualified and stuff, I think they are a bit dismissive. And I want to show you this because it goes into a lot of the coronavirus details and how CNN approaches the facts. Meanwhile, they put Greta Thunberg on a panel. Look, if you're going to run all these articles, if you're going to have your opinion people come out, not do any research, and then just play the tribal line, I'm going to drag you if your response is going to be performative reality TV. Newsbusters says, Anderson Cooper ended Thursday night's CNN coronavirus town hall with an emotion-driven, hypocritical, and sophomoric rant complaining about the phony online outrage machine after CNN received widespread blowback to having climate change activist Greta Thunberg as a guest. This was despite the town hall's billing of facts, science as part of the show title, having the phrase facts and fears. Sounding more like a perturbed tween. They really don't like Anderson Cooper, by the way. I don't think you guys need to go that far. Cooper took cheap shots at Donald Trump Jr., well-intentioned observers, and news outlets like Forbes and the New York Post. Since CNN's entire existence under Jeffrey Zucker has been churning out phony outrage, peddling lies, and hatred for those not on their team, their meltdown was rich. Yeah, Zucker's a reality TV guy, man. And aside from the fact that CNN was not a serious news organization, Cooper shot himself in the foot by peddling the liberal media-wide narrative that the president should liberate the scientists and slink into the background. In other words, the line, listen to the scientists, doesn't apply to Zuckerville. Cooper started the screed live after the taped interview with Thunberg, which was fairly benign as it focused on her efforts with UNICEF to raise money and raise awareness for childhood starvation amidst the coronavirus pandemic. Quote, so we taped that interview earlier today, as I mentioned, and I just wanted to take a moment to point out a kind of surreal, absurd drama that played out over the last 24 hours online, and amazingly in some reputable news sources, Cooper began. He then put on-screen still shot promos for the town hall, both of which included Thunberg. This led him to complain that apparently someone with a blue check on Twitter, I love that he's even, jumping in, saw the initial ad and was outraged and claimed that we had booked Greta Thunberg to be an expert on a coronavirus panel with other health experts. Yes, numerous outlets worded her impending appearance as a panelist, even though Thunberg could safely be pegged as a solo hit like Alicia Keys and Spike Lee were on past town halls. But that would have required watching past town halls, like the MRC's news analysis division has. So that's an inside baseball point and thus petty for Cooper to harp on when her very presence was the issue. I'm going to stop right there, man. It's not an inside baseball issue for the most part. I understand people were saying she was going to be an expert panelist, and they thought she was going to be talking about coronavirus. I certainly did. But the issue that I think really, look, I don't care what Greta Thunberg does. She should not be on TV at all. What they're doing with her, it's flavor of the month. It's an attempt at ratings. Look, I can respect that she became very famous and that she's now doing activism. But I'm sorry, there is nothing that gives her any kind of qualification to continue on in the space that she is continuing on in. She's now doing UNICEF stuff like feeding kids. I'm sorry, man. She skipped school. It was a big viral wave. Respect. She started something. Sometimes, people do things, they go viral, and she got a lot of attention for it and she was featured and praised. But that's all. Now she's just any other kid talking about the same things with no expertise. When they book her for these things, it is just an attempt to pander to, you know what? Look, there are scientists, there are doctors, and there are actual people who have dedicated their lives to the efforts that she's doing. They're giving you a Greta Thunberg update. That's the issue. I'm sorry. A lot of people will get mad, but I do not believe she does anything at this point of merit to actually warrant appearing on cable news to get an update. Now, I get it. That's their choice, I guess, to put her on TV or not. But that's what they're doing. They're like, ooh, I know. Let's put her on TV. I'm sorry, man. It's just totally irrelevant. Why would you put her on this at all? They say next, Cooper's snark went up to 12, and facial expressions that betrayed the notion of a serious newsman when he gripped that. Then, of course, Donnie Trump Jr. jumped in, and here we go. Look. This is where CNN goes full performance art. Jumped in, which is weird because I thought he was allegedly running whatever remains of the Trump organization. I mean, shouldn't that a really busy job since, allegedly such a great big company? What? This is what I'm talking about. They don't get people who can actually speak to things. They are just doing reality TV. Greta Thunberg is a character. They think they'll get ratings. They put her on. She has no qualifications. She is doing nothing of merit. There are so many more people qualified to talk about whatever it is they're doing with UNICEF and starvation and climate change. She had her limelight, but she's still not doing anything of merit. You can argue that the activism is good. That's fine. I'm not disputing that. I'm disputing that they're just... Why would you put her on TV other than you wanted to use that to get clicks? And this is what we're seeing now. Why are you bringing up Donald Trump Jr.? A ton of other people were critical of you bringing on Greta Thunberg. Why are you attacking Trump Jr.'s job, the Trump organization, and the company? This is resistance pandering. It's exactly what I explained with how Jim Acosta does it. Right now, Anderson Cooper isn't speaking to me for criticizing him. He's not speaking to Donald Trump Jr. He's not speaking to any of these people who said, why are you booking Greta Thunberg? He's speaking to the resistance left and this doing this performative bit so that he can be like, I'm standing up to Donald Trump. Huh, your company sucks. What? Why are you talking about the Trump organization? I don't care. It's Donald Trump Jr. sending one tweet. A bunch of people sent tweets. That's the game. While decrying online criticism as the work of trolls, Cooper became an actual troll with slights against Trump. He also played the child card on criticism of Thunberg and inadvertently delivered a beatdown to CNN's current existence. Click expand. What? Anyway, once DJ TJ, Donald Trump Jr., started typing, then other people with blue checks on Twitter started doing their thing because everybody has to produce content these days. That's what it's all about. It's like a tween on TikTok. You've got to produce content lest you miss out on a cycle of phony outrage. Then someone who's apparently a reporter at Forbes. Oh, okay, so this is the quote from Anderson. wrote an article about the alleged controversial booking and the concern about it. And the New York Post today wrote about it, as well as claiming we were having her on a panel, which was what the first person on Twitter was claiming, which was made up. It was made up then. It was made up today in the Post. I don't want to read this stupid quote. He says, I'm going to skip over this stupid. Look, I get Donnie Trump attacking CNN and a 17-year-old Swede. It's low-hanging fruit. No, CNN, you were going for low-hanging fruit. You are doing reality TV, and you love that this is happening. You know what, man? Everybody does. Everybody wants to play the game and feign outrage. And the joke I made, you know, I can't remember what it was. Something social justice-y happened, and I said, you know what, I get it. Now I'm going to pretend to be angry because you're angry about something that, you know, someone else was pretending to be angry about. I think it's fair to look. I mean it sincerely when I move to criticize CNN for what they do. Jim Acosta stands up, he argues the president, and as much as I think I deserve criticism too, because I definitely jumped on the "what are you doing with Greta Thunberg" bandwagon, I stand by why I think it was a bad idea to book her. I think she should not be on TV. I don't know, man, whatever. They can book whoever they want, fine, if they want Greta Thunberg. I just think she's not relevant, and it's strange to me that there's this thing on the left where they keep propping up inexperienced children. They did it with the Parkland kids. They do it with Greta Thunberg. It's just a thing they do, and I don't like it. There are doctors they could get instead, and I understand why they would put them on TV in the first place, but I don't get why they would continually prop them up. They're using them for some kind of emotional dig to go after people, like, stop attacking children. My problem with CNN is that I do political commentary. You know, I give you my opinion. And so sometimes you got silly, stupid stories. And you know what? I believe I was wrong. I don't remember exactly what I said on every issue pertaining to Greta Thunberg, but I probably viewed it the same way everyone else did, assuming she was being brought on as an expert and stuff. And so if I was wrong, just assuming I was, then I apologize and we can go and correct that. CNN isn't supposed to be political commentary, and they've pushed back on the claims that they are. But this is exactly what they're doing, but it's worse. It's performative rage bait fake news. And let me give you an example, right? Because I don't care to read more about this stupid. This is just dumb. Check this out. Oliver Darcy and Brian Stelter are the main show, in my opinion, when it comes to performative fake news. I know you can look at Don Lemon, and he does it too, and he's high, you know. Well, actually, no, take this back. Like, the whole network is just trash. You got Chris Cuomo pretending to be in quarantine. Anderson Cooper now, you know, jumping into the flame war. If you want to have her on, then you can just have her on. And Anderson Cooper really went after Donald Trump Jr. You can see it's about performance. Look, I get it. If you want to come out and say, you know, talk about the online outrage, I think that's fine. If Anderson Cooper said, you know, recently in the past 24 hours has been a bit of anger online under the assumption that Greta Thunberg was going to be an expert panelist. She wasn't. We had her on to talk about her recent activity, you know, the activism. And that's all. So to those that were, it could have been very simple. Instead, he attacks the Trump organization and stuff. Fox News dumps coronavirus coverage for anti-Obama conspiracy theory. I'm not going to read this story. I don't care. I want to show you some other news pertaining to COVID and how the media is treating this and how CNN treats it. But I bring this up because Oliver Darcy and Brian Stelter, all they do now is talk about Fox News. And this is exactly what CNN has become. Anderson Cooper, you know, complaining and attacking Trump Jr. is the perfect example of the same thing we see all day, every day. I got to be honest. I really, really get tired of talking about it. So, you know, I wake up and I see this story and I think to myself, am I really going to do the same thing and just keep criticizing CNN because they've become a reality TV station? And to what point do we all get sucked into this toilet, right? If CNN is devolving now into the Fox News review channel, and then I start criticizing CNN because they've become the Fox News review channel and reality TV garbage, then I just become the CNN review channel. But I guess the challenge is CNN is wildly influential, so we're all getting sucked into, I won't call it a toilet, we'll call it the maelstrom, where we all point the finger at each other and we slowly spiral down and down and down. And I don't know how you break it. The problem is they will claim, you know, Fox News is influential, therefore we must challenge Fox News. I think that's actually a bit absurd because Fox, for the most part, is actually kind of boring news coverage. Bill Hemmer, you know, America's Newsroom, Brett Baer, their daytime stuff is very, very standard. They don't really talk too much about, you know, Tucker Carlson for the most part, but they do just go after Hannity all the time. And it's not even about whether or not they're a Fox News review channel. It's about how they're basically just going after Laura Ingraham and Hannity and sometimes Tucker. It's like prime time Fox News review. We all kind of play this game, and it's coming to a point where there's not actually news. Like, is it news that Anderson Cooper did this? No. Does it matter that CNN is doing this again? It's like, well, what else is new? So I don't know, man. I tell you what, I actually, started this segment a little late because I was like, this is what we get. I think it has to do with honestly, with the coronavirus pandemic. Let me show you this because I said I would. This is an article from just the other day from CNN. And there's a bunch of articles like this. I just picked this one. There's tons of analysis op-ed pieces about Dr. Fauci and Rand Paul, and they always frame it the same way. Rand Paul, a noted downplayer of coronavirus and asymptomatic vector, told Fauci he didn't buy everything the doctor said. Rand Paul's a doctor. You know what I mean? He's not the same doctor, but it's just, there's no honest discussion. I know this is just one op-ed. Anyway, look, the point is, well, let me show you this. They go on to talk about Trump. They argue that, false promises about hydroxychloroquine, blah, blah, blah. Trump is the biggest bullhorn. He deals in innuendo, his unproven allegations, his pushes false promises, as he did with the anti-malarial drug would be an effective treatment. Look, they make this stuff up. Just Google search it, and you can see they're still working on the hydroxychloroquine stuff. There's tons of articles talking about it. Drug combo shows a promising study. Another study shows it doesn't help. So you've got a war going on in media. You've got this de-evolution of actual value in terms of delivering information. I think there's a certain role that I play in this as well, because I do my, like I did my Greta Thunberg thing the other day. I guess for me, I feel justified in doing it because I look at this content and I'm like, look, CNN's doing it again. But it continues the downward spiral, the de-evolution, and now we are really at the bottom of the toilet. Me criticizing Anderson Cooper's reality TV nonsense, criticizing the content that many other people produced, like myself. But here's what I mean, like as we downward spiral. At first, you have Donald Trump, talking about coronavirus. He then says there's a potential treatment. We're seeing other countries use chloroquine and a hydroxychloroquine. The media then challenges this. Then people challenge the media. Then the media challenges them back. Then the media writes story after story, highlighting as many, studies as they can to claim that this medicine doesn't work. This is where it gets really, really bad in terms of how we function as a society. There are studies right now. Let me show you this. Spectrum News NY1. Drug combo with hydroxychloroquine promising. NYU study. That's legit. They say we got UW Medicine ramps up study of hydroxychloroquine and azithromycin. NIH begins clinical trials. So there's been another malaria cure draws notice in coronavirus outbreak. Then we have Reuters. COVID patients given malaria drug didn't see significant improvement. Studies. There's a bunch of studies that say it didn't work. There's a bunch of studies that say it does work. There's a bunch of doctors who have been surveyed saying they saw great results with it. But when it comes to the media game, where all we are doing is going after each other for tribal reasons, then we actually lose valuable information. The news media is no longer actually trying to inform you about whether or not this drug actually works. They're looking for a story they can push that's going to generate traffic. So I've actually talked to some journalists about this, and it's almost impossible to actually figure out. You have mainstream news outlets, not political commentary, and I'll explain this in a second too, saying over and over and over again, this drug doesn't work, and they're not actually giving you the relevant information. CNN publishes the op-eds where they say Trump was wrong, outright, false promise. We're not even there yet. It's just performative rage, like what we get for Anderson Cooper. Now, I think that we all kind of play this game, and here's where it gets scary. I am an individual. And people have criticized me because they say, Tim only ever rags on the left, exclusively critical of the left, things like that. And I'm like, yeah, for the most part. Like last night, I ragged on Republicans over their, voting to pass this FISA surveillance stuff and voting, for the most part, not to remove this more spying. Basically, the Republicans are all, voting for this spying trash. And I think it's awful. Most of the content I do is critical of the media and the Democrats, and it's typically because they are in alignment with the BS nonsense they put out. And it's a thing that really, gets me riled up. As a political commentator, these are the stories that I want to talk about. The challenge I see is that news organizations have ceased to function, partly because of people like me, but mostly because of the systems that exist that allow people like me to function. It is a conundrum. So I make content. It costs relatively nothing. I complain about my feelings. I laugh at Anderson Cooper. I make a living, for the most part, doing this. Now, for my main channel, go to timcast.net. These are segments where I actually track like the current political, what's going on in politics, and very, very much so focused on the Democrats, what they're doing. And that's the lens I have. That's how I view the world. I'm an individual. These are the stories that I think really matter, day by day. Sometimes the stories aren't super important, like talking about Elon Musk and his battle and rage bait online. And sometimes they have to do with very serious stuff like China and war. But sometimes when I think there's a big story pertaining to, say, China, I'll say, like, here's going on with Chinese escalation. I think it's the most important story right now. When I see Democrats lose 2 special elections, I think that's the most important story because we're tracking whether or not Donald Trump will get reelected. I don't need to frame everything as to what Donald Trump is doing. I'm looking at what the opposition is doing. That's how I view it. It creates a problem. CNN then has to compete with me. And I'm an individual political commentator with a very low overhead. So CNN says, you know what? The only way we survive is we play the same game because we can't compete. And then we get Anderson Cooper coming out and complaining about content like mine, where I was complaining about content like his. And it just devolves everything into garbage, complete and utter garbage. I don't know what to tell you, because I don't think we can expect this to get better, because the money being made in media is being made from content like this. It's true for me. It's true for CNN. It's true for MSNBC. It's true for Fox News. And I don't know if there's actually a way to solve this or get around it. Here's how I view the difference between someone like me and what like CNN would do. I think in the age of the internet, if you as an individual want to put out your opinion and talk about how you feel, you're entitled to do so. If people want to watch that and see how you feel, you're entitled to make this happen. You're never going to stop people from having opinions and posting their opinions. So I don't see anything necessarily unethical about individual political commentators going on their channels and talking about this. And if it was Anderson Cooper going on YouTube and complaining about this, I would be totally fine with it and say, if he wants to post on Twitter or post a clip. But when he's doing a nightly news program and he's supposed to be the most trusted name in news, and he uses that as an opportunity to do performance art, that becomes a problem. When Don Lemon uses a primetime news slot to attack Donald Trump, that's a problem. When Brian Stelter and Oliver Darcy are supposed to be talking about the media, but they use their news segments to do rage bait performance art, it's a problem. The barrier to me is individuals are entitled to their opinions. What are you going to say about that? People can talk online. News organizations should maintain that level of professionalism. They can't, though. They will cease to exist. They can't compete. So where does it leave us? Maybe doomed? I honestly don't know. You're going to see a lot of people exploiting the news, exploiting the system to try and make money. I get accused of doing it too. There's no solution to the problem in the end, I would say, for the most part. Hopefully something good comes eventually. Maybe our culture improves and we find a way to get past this. But so long as our institutions just want to make money, so they're playing the YouTube, like Anderson Cooper is not a YouTuber. He's not a dude in his house talking about his feelings. He's supposed to be a nightly, like, serious newscaster. And he's become, he's devolved. I don't know the answers. I really don't. Criticize me all you want. I think that's legit. I don't think mainstream, major, massive corporations should be doing the same things that I do unless they're a political commentary show. And that's okay. But ultimately, I think this is where we end up. And I will add, to be fair, I think the coronavirus plays a big role in it because people are desperate. Anderson Cooper, they got to fill time. There's no news. So he's like, I'll just rant about, this or whatever. And that's what you get. It really is. I don't know. Again, I'm just going to wrap it up there. Whatever the solution may be, maybe it'll come. Otherwise, we'll all just get flushed down the toilet, myself included. Stick around. Next segment's coming up at 1 p.m. on this channel, and I will see you all then.